All right, everyone. Samia here. You're looking at live aerials coming in from Philadelphia, where a Philly is Charlottesville rally is taking place in Center City. Activists planning to gather tonight in Center City as part of this Philly is Charlottesville march and rally. Interfaith organizer POWER, which stands for Philadelphians Organized to Witness, Empower, and Rebuild, will host the event, which kicked off at 7 o'clock Philly time, so about a half an hour ago, outside of a synagogue. Now, this march is held in support of those who pushed back against the white supremacists and neo-Nazis who stoked violence this past weekend when they gathered in Charlottesville, Virginia. Those white supremacists and neo-Nazis came heavily armed and clad in Confederate flags, KKK hoods, and swastikas. They were there to protest the removal of a Confederate statue. Now, organizers in Philadelphia will also pay tribute to 32-year-old Heather Heyer, who was killed on Saturday when a car driven by a man from Ohio plowed into a group of organizers. Officials have since deemed the incident an act of domestic terrorism. Now, according to a Facebook page for this event, demonstrators will begin to march south on Broad Street towards the Arch Street United Methodist Church, where they plan to rally around 8 o'clock Philly time, so in about half an hour or so. More than 1,500 people marked that they were going on the Facebook page. As you can see, a massive number of people live there at the event. You can see that with these live aerials coming in from Philadelphia. All right, everyone, and there you have on the screen the Facebook event for this march that's taking place right now. The Philly is Charlottesville rally against white supremacists. This is a march and rally. You can see it was scheduled for today, organized by the group Power. Philadelphians organized to witness and empower and rebuild. There were 2,400 people going, almost 6,000 people interested. The description says, Power clergy and laity mourn for the freedom fighters injured and killed as they stood against white supremacy this weekend in Charlottesville. Let's go ahead and make this a little bigger. We must make it clear that white supremacy is not just a Southern thing. Symbols and systems of white supremacy are also at work in Philadelphia, the birthplace of American democracy. While we applaud the thousands who took to the streets this weekend in solidarity with Charlottesville, we call upon the same persons to march with us to tear down white supremacist structures in Philadelphia and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We ask you to join us on Wednesday, August 16th at 7 o'clock in a march and rally again under the banner of Unmasking White Supremacy in Philadelphia. So there's a brief description. The plan was to gather at 7 o'clock. The march started at 7:15. It is now 7:40 there in Philadelphia. And we know that there will be a rally and action inside Arch Street United Methodist Church. That's scheduled at 8 o'clock in about 20 minutes. And they go on to say that at Arch Street, UMC, we will not only name how white supremacy is at work in our city, but we will present specific calls to action related to demands around criminal justice reform, public education funding, and living wages. We will engage in a direct action campaign at the church, calling on specific elected officials to do their part in dismantling institutionalized racism. The worship of Confederate idols and race superiority is a threat to the progress that we as a country have made to move beyond our dark history. White nationalism does not flow from the heart of God. We must boldly rebuke all forms of bigotry on behalf of love and on behalf of humanity. We must continue to resist all tactics to create fear and terror in the hearts, souls, and minds of marginalized communities. So that was the description on the official Facebook page event, or rather the official Facebook page for this event that you're watching in full now. I'm going to go ahead and take you guys back to the live full screen of this rally against white supremacists in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. You can see a massive crowd gathered there, many people holding signs. Some signs say "Live Free." We have a big sign there in the middle of your screen, "White silence is violence." You can see many protesters gathered, protesters of all races gathered in Philadelphia to march against neo-Nazi violence and call out what they believe is white supremacy in their own city as well. Wow, you can see a massive crowd gathered there marching in Philadelphia, hundreds and hundreds of people. Just a huge, huge amount of people there in Philadelphia. Large attendance at this rally against white supremacists. The rally titled "Philly is Charlottesville." They're in Philadelphia.
host never answers my calls. Alright, so anyway, I'm gonna go back again. I really do have to stop feeding the trolls. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get entertained by things.
A sanctuary city.
We are a sanctuary city. We are a sanctuary city. We are. Don't give me spoilers for Game of Thrones. I haven't had a chance to watch it. Please, if you do it, I will be taking you off my Facebook feed. I missed last week's episode. Do not give me any spoilers for Game of Thrones. Those are fighting words. I can't believe people are doing this. If you don't like my moderation, there's somebody else who's streaming it.
God bless the United States. And if you have any questions, we have Mick. You could come up here, please. Come on up.
Questions at an income.
Mick Mulvaney.
Okay.
If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Why do you think these CEOs are leaving your manufacturing council?
Because they're not taking their job seriously as it pertains to this country. We want jobs, manufacturing in this country. If you look at some of those people that you're talking about, they're outside of the country. They're having a lot of their product made outside. If you look at Merck as an example, take a look where, take a look at where their product is made. It's made outside of our country. We want products made in the country. Now, I have to tell you, some of the folks that will leave, they're leaving out of embarrassment because they make their products outside. And I've been lecturing them, including the gentleman that you're referring to, about you have to bring it back to this country. You can't do it necessarily in Ireland and all of these other places. You have to bring this work back to this country. That's what I want. I want manufacturing to be back into the United States so that American workers can benefit.
Let me ask you, why did you wait so long?
I didn't wait long. I didn't wait long. I didn't wait long. I wanted to make sure, unlike most politicians, that what I said was correct, not make a quick statement. The statement I made on Saturday, the first statement, was a fine statement, but you don't make statements that direct unless you know the fact. It takes a little while to get the facts. You still don't know the facts. And it's a very, very important process to me, and it's a very important statement. So I don't want to go quickly and just make a statement for the sake of making a political statement. I want to know the facts. If you go back to my, in fact, I brought it. As I said on, remember this, Saturday, we condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. And then I went on from there. Now, here's the thing. As to, excuse me, take it nice and easy. Here's the thing. When I make a statement, I like to be correct. I want the facts. This event just happened. In fact, a lot of the event didn't even happen yet as we were speaking. This event just happened. Before I make a statement, I need the facts. So I don't want to rush into a statement. So making the statement when I made it was excellent. In fact, the young woman, who I hear is a fantastic young woman, and it was on NBC, her mother wrote me and said, through, I guess, Twitter, social media, the nicest things, and I very much appreciated that. I hear she was a fine, really, actually an incredible young woman, but her mother on Twitter thanked me for what I said. And honestly, if the press were not fake, and if it was honest, the press would have said what I said was very nice. But unlike you and unlike the media, before I make a statement, I like to know the facts. They don't. How about a couple of infrastructure questions?
Was that terrorism?
Say it, what?
The CEO of Walmart said you missed a critical opportunity to help bring the country together. Did you?
Not at all. I think the country, look, you take a look. I've created over 1 million jobs since I'm president. The country is booming. The stock market is setting records. We have the highest employment numbers we've ever had in the history of our country. We're doing record business. We have the highest levels of enthusiasm. So the head of Walmart, who I know, who's a very nice guy, was making a political statement. I mean, because because I want to make sure.
I want to make it abundantly clear, and you can tell we're not Nazis because we're not carrying flags with swastikas on it. That is the first indication. We are not wearing white robes, hoods, or waving torches, or beating people, or trying to kill them. Another indication we are not Nazis. So be comfortable and assured that none of us here are Nazis. Thank you. Oh, excuse me.
No KKK, no fascist
That's our
USA.
man.
No Trump. No KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump. No KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump. No KKK, no fascist USA. No Trump. No KKK, no fascist USA.
I'm down to 61%. I might soon need. Can I have you hold this for a sec? I need to get. I think I'm going to need a backup battery on this soon. Hi. Ho ho! Little statues got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! Hey hey! Ho ho! Little statues got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! So what I'm gonna do? Sorry, I'll get my way. All right, we're gonna plug this in. All right, thank you. Oh, I lots of practice at this point. Okay, if one more person gives me a freaking Game of Thrones spoiler, I am going to be so unbelievable. Please get off of my Twitter feed. Just go back to the racial epithets. I cannot deal with the Game of Thrones spoilers, okay? Seriously. I know now you're going to give me more. And to be honest, I don't actually care that much because I'm just going to go watch it when I get home tonight. But it is kind of annoying. Please show me respect by not giving me Game of Thrones spoilers. I just appreciate it. I'm not spoiling stuff for you.
Ho ho! That Rizzo statue's got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! That Rizzo statue's got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! That Rizzo statue's got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! That Rizzo statue's got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho! That Rizzo statue's got to go! Hey hey! Ho ho!
Alright, I'm going to flip this over so I'm not looking at comments anymore because I'm really tired of the Game of Thrones spoilers. Now I can't see comments.
Oh, what's going on?
Oh, people keep trying to spoil Game of Thrones for me.
More naysayers?
Oh, we got the naysayers and the people who decide have realized that they are going to really annoy me by giving me Game of Thrones spoilers. So I've just flipped over to the window so I can't see.
Wow. I mean, what
a sanctuary city. We are a sanctuary city. We are a sanctuary city.
I mean, what do they think you're supposed to do, Bash?
I don't know.
Just sit around while your rights are under a threat?
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, we're all here for justice.
Absolutely.
And we absolutely mean justice for all. Not just, not just justice for white people, justice for everybody.
Thank you, Brandy. I feel the same way. Yeah, this is actually so much better. I should always watch this with this window. I didn't actually realize I could get the comments disappear. Oh, happy day. I'm super happy. I can make the comments disappear. Now I just get, that's how many people have watched it so far. We're actually picking up. It's pretty awesome. I am never going to watch looking at the comments again. You're a superhero. I know, right? I'm a superhero going to walk off the ledge. Yo! Hey! Hi! Hey! You know what? Guess what I figured out? If I turn it this way, no comments. Yes! This is great because people kept trying to spoil Game of Thrones for me. I know!
You guys are jerks. You guys are jerks. That's worse than trolling. That's just mean.
I know!
Wait, I got freaking surprise spoiled by somebody for the next episode.
Yes, I know! I didn't know that! Yeah.
I'm so angry. I'm actually trying not to get surprised.
I know, right? Hey! Yeah, you want to say hi to Twitter?
Hi, Twitter. I didn't assume we got a lot of them too.
Yeah, exactly. We know where it's at.
I think I saw it. I can't believe it.
Yeah, we're trying to come Yeah. I know. I didn't. I'm really glad I know about it now. Yeah. or whatever, and I was like, okay, I have to get here. And especially after those comments on Tuesday, I was just like, oh.
And then we're just gonna be
our streets, 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 our streets. That is the truth. Our streets, 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 our streets.
in Charlottesville, Virginia. The Unite the Right gathering was billed by organizer Jason Kessler as a conservative unity event. In reality, it was basically a front for a variety of open neo-Nazi and white supremacist and Klan-type organizations to come together on Charlottesville in a way, as we saw, that they used as an opportunity to commit violence, numerous acts of violence and terrorism and murder against various anti-racists. People of color were beaten with sticks in Charlottesville as police looked on. But this march, in addition to denouncing that act of white supremacist terror, is also demanding that the city of Philadelphia take the statue of Frank Rizzo. Frank Rizzo is a former Philadelphia police chief. He's deceased. Former Philadelphia police chief, former Philadelphia mayor, former Pennsylvania governor, who was notoriously racist. He ordered a home of black activists with the organization to have a bomb dropped on them, and then they shot at men, women, and children as they were fleeing the burning building. That's just one of the violent racist incidents Frank Rizzo, his name is sort of associated with. And so while Frank Rizzo is dead, issues of police racism, police murder, police brutality in Philadelphia continue. Also, before we heard from people talking about how Philadelphia police target and harass undocumented immigrants because they get driver's licenses. unfolded since James Alex Fields murdered 32-year-old Charlottesville local Heather Heyer by driving into a protest crowd on Saturday. This is partially a response to that and also a mobilization to, address that energy and that rage towards local issues of racism, police murder, white supremacy. Some of the clergy are going into this church here. We're at the Arch Street United Methodist Church. We're going to take you closer to where some of the speakers are. My apologies for filming the ground for a second.
Justice now! Justice now! I am somebody! We demand! Justice now! Justice now! Justice now! Justice now! Justice now! Justice win! Justice win! Justice win! Justice win! Justice win! Justice win! I am somebody! We demand justice now! 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 Hello, everybody! How y'all doing?
Yes! My name is Sheila Armstrong, and I want to tell y'all, y'all are so beautiful to me tonight. Because in my eyes, this is the real America. This is what America really looks like. Everybody coming together. So y'all are beautiful to me. I want to make an announcement. Inside, we are having a meeting, because guess what? This is not the end, but this is the beginning. Now, I pick with my brothers. As women, we are some planners. That's right. So we got a plan. And we want y'all to go inside and join us, because we're going to create a plan. We're going to take it to our government systems, and we're going to tell them racism in our government systems have no place here. So, we're going to transition from out here to inside. If you cannot go inside, we also going to have the program live streamed outside. You can go to Facebook, go to Power in the Faith on Facebook, and you can also see the live stream there, www.powerinthefaith.org. My name is Sheila Armstrong, and I'm the education organizer. Thank y'all so much for coming out.
All right, let's start moving inside. We're going to try to move Jim Kenney today to fulfill his campaign promise to fully fund the Philadelphia Police Advisory Commission, but you can't do that outside on the streets. You got to do that inside. Come on inside. We're going to move Councilman Darrell Clark to lead City Council to a $15 minimum wage. Can't be done on the corner. Got to come inside. We're going to move Harrisburg to give us a full funding formula, but you can't do it outside. So come on and meet us outside. Black Lives Matter. Let me hear you say it. Black Lives Matter. Now, if there is a Christopher M. Lewis, please come to this truck at this time. Thank you, Reverend Olson.
So there's still thousands of people on the street here. The speakers are holding an event inside to try to advance their agenda locally, legislatively.
Come on.
That's so cute, Nick.
I like your little safe space. All right.
Here we go. Are we going in? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's get closer.
We gotta get y'all inside.
All right, so you're watching us walk into a church.
We got.
I was telling it for the folks on Blue and so much more highly exposed to now that I can't see the comments. Hey, how are you? Okay. Are you in? Okay. Here. Do you want to say hi to Twitter? Here. You want to say hi to Twitter? Oh, you want to go to the balcony? Yes. Yes, I want to go to the balcony. That is definitely the best. We're going up to the balcony. This is my 2,000 person following, watching Twitter posse that's joining us here with Tuesdays with Tubi. For
Oh no, I recognize you by the hat.
that's why I wear this hat so people can find me.
I saw that picture. This is a gorgeous church.
It is a beautiful church. Oh, we made the right decision.
I'll let you find a way where you want to sit.
Okay, I just want to find some place where. Let's just sit there, yeah. Let it shine. All right, I'm following Jerome. Woo! Shine. All right, y'all mind? I'm gonna sit here. Come here, push this way. I'm just sitting here. I'm gonna. All right, I guess I'll just. Okay, it looks like I have to go here to actually zoom. All right, good. Can you hold this for a sec? Or just on the group? Oh, you're here for the camera. Okay. Yes, I gotta open this door. I won't suggest you to holding this for the whole time. This is how I get my arm strength worked out.
One more time before Reverend Robin comes out. So this little light.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Thank God. Prayer and secondly for opening the doors of this church for us on tonight. Let's thank Rabbi Sean Zevick and Reverend Linda Newman for giving us music on this evening. Come on, put our hands together. Tonight we want to get right into it. Someone has asked the question, how can we say that Philly is Charlottesville? He said, we have no Confederate flags, Confederate statues downtown. How can we possibly make that false equivalency? White supremacy is not just about statues. People who are self-professed neo-Nazis. It's about that, but it's also about the fact that children in this city go to sleep, wake up and go to schools that are radically funded differently than those across City Avenue. White supremacy looks like an office of big black man in the back. His job would come back 7 years later and shoot David Jones in the back. That's what white supremacy looks like. White supremacy looks like American Airlines flying in and out here with billionaire CEOs, while the people who clean the toilets, load the bags and push the wheelchairs, get by with poverty wages because they say there's not enough to go around. So tonight, we're here tonight to say, don't come just to cry about Charlottesville. Yes, weep for Charlottesville. Weep for young Sister Hire and her family.
God
but come
bless
and
Charlottesville. God bless those who were hurt in Charlottesville.
In this city, in this commonwealth, in our own backyard. And tonight, that's what we're here to do. To help us do that and to put a name to this and a name to the pain. We have 3 persons who are going to come now at this time and speak directly to this people. Our Sister Camila Rashad, Rabbi Mordecai Liebling, and Reverend Linda Newman in that order. Come on, won't you put your hands together for them?
I hope you're not too.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you. My name is Camila Rashad. I am the Interfaith Fellow for Spirituality, Wellness, and Social Justice at the University of Pennsylvania. There were a few things on my heart to share today. I know it's been a difficult few days, few weeks, months, even years for some of us. There were 3 points that I look to when I think about what fuels my activism, what keeps me engaged, and why I do what I do. And one is the hadith, or saying of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of God be upon him. He said, whoever sees an evil, let him change it with his hand. And if he is not able to do so, let him change it with his tongue. And if he is not able to do that, then with his heart. And this is the weakest of faith. So in these moments, it's tempting to set our collective sights on pointing the finger at an undeniable, unrepentant villain. And our president certainly plays the role.
That is not a president. That is not a president. He is just in that house, but he is not a president.
I've actually cautioned against this because it's not that he's undeserving of blame. It's not that he is not guilty of racism and white supremacy and bigotry in this country. I caution against it because this is too convenient and it leads to complacency. Racism is pervasive, systemic, structural, overt, self-perpetuating. It is in the air we breathe. So we have all internalized this toxic air. So we have to ask ourselves if we are changing what is in our hearts. If we are speaking and acting against this in small and great ways. I don't have much time, but I wanted to speak directly to my white allies, comrades, friends, and fellow believers in a higher power. And I want you to hear me with an open heart and a curious mind. Your perpetual outrage and disbelief at this violence and general state of affairs is triggering, it's exhausting.
Does anybody want some gum?
I'm a black woman who is descendant of enslaved Africans. And so it leads me to wonder, where have you been? Where have you been? Why are you in shock? Did you not realize the suffering of my people the last 400 years? Or simply the last 4 months? So it is time that we all set aside this performative moral indignation, right? Because this feels really good, right? Marching with thousands of people feels really good. But there's some work that we have to do. And it is tough conversations with your family members, your loved ones, and your friends. In the Holy Quran, it says, "O ye who believe, stand firmly for justice as witnesses to God, even if it is against yourselves, your parents, or your kin." So ask yourself, have I done a fierce and honest moral inventory? What conversations will I have today? What or whom have I been avoiding? When it comes to this necessary and difficult dialogue about race, racism, and white supremacy in America. And I'll close with this. Audre Lorde said, "There's so many silences to be broken. What are the words you do not yet have? What do you need to say? What are the tyrannies you swallow day by day and attempt to make your own until you sicken and die of them, still in silence?"
And they're going to take our picture first.
So how do we break the silence? We show up. We nourish ourselves. We remember that in order to break our silences, we must offer each other affirmation and acknowledgement of all the ways in which we are human. We dig deep wells of life affirming, spiritually based, emotionally healthy, collective practices of self-care. So let us together, individually, collectively, break these silences and break these chains. Thank you.
We have a special guest here. Where's Reverend Heineken? Reverend Heineken, where are you? Reverend Robin, come on up here real quick if you're in here. This brother right here, Javier, come on up. Javier has been living in this church for 9 months because of the threat of being deported. This church is a real sanctuary, not just a building. Always a sanctuary. Say something to it.
Gracias a toda la comunidad. Yo sé que estamos aquí por algo, específicamente por una lucha. Mi nombre es Daniel García. He estado aquí durante 10 meses y no es fácil porque he estado en el santuario durante 10 meses por la migración que tiene.
So my name is Olivia and I'm going to translate for Javier. So thank you everyone who's here and welcome. My name is Javier Flores. I have been in Century in the in this church for the last 10 months because ICE is holding me prisoner. And in this moment, it's very important that everybody stands up against a racist system founded in white supremacy.
Tenemos que seguir adelante luchando, no por nosotros, sino por nuestra nueva generación que viene atrás de nosotros. Gracias.
We have to keep fighting, not just for ourselves, but also for the generations behind us, and thank you.
As Rabbi Lee comes, that people are outside, if you can hear us, we can get a couple hundred people in. Everybody scooch in. Come on, scooch in. And if we have clergy who will come and relieve the clergy holding the banner, we want to keep the banner up so other clergy come and relieve them. Come on down quickly, clergy. Rabbi Mordecai Liebling was in Charlottesville, locked in that church with Nazis outside. Give it up for Rabbi.
There are some seats over here. People in the back want to move around. There's plenty of seats right in here in this corner. Raise your hand if there's a seat next to you. Come on in. There are lots of seats. Come on down. crisis as well. The ideological white supremacists are recruiting the angry, disaffected people. We have to reach out to them as well. We have to reach. It is no accident that our country is polarized because extremes of wealth and poverty leads to extremism. The fight for economic justice, social justice, and racial justice that power is involved in is the way that we deal with white supremacy every single day. Every day, whether it's the schools, whether it's the court system, whether it's our housing patterns, that's how white supremacy shows up. It is not hidden. It is overt in the way that our system is structured, and we have to remember that. White supremacy is at the root of the inequities in our system. So as we walk out of here tonight, we need to resolve that every single day we are going to stand up for love and stand up against white supremacy in the city of Philadelphia, and we'll do it together.
They're holding
from slaves and former slaves. Were they to band together in common cause, the wealthy elites would have not stood a chance. Divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is an age-old strategy that ensures that the wealth and power remain concentrated in the hands of a few. It always has, and the strategy continues to be at work. You will not replace us. They hollered at people of color, Muslims, LGBTQIA, queer folk, and Jews. I'm here as a white, bisexual, cisgender woman, temporarily able-bodied, while my new hip and I are just getting acquainted, and a Christian pastor. And I know this. Every one of us in this room and in this country are irreplaceable. But technically, you know. All no one can replace you. All of us and all of our religious traditions agree that human beings, all of us, are sacred and created in the image of the holy. Each of us, no matter who we are, carries within us that divine spark. In one of the most stunning stories in the Christian Bible, Jesus shuts down an angry and vindictive group of people ready to stone a woman to death, someone in their community that they have deemed to be dispensable, replaceable, impure, someone that does not belong, and he shut it down. When the president of the United States deems all Muslims a threat by preventing their entry into this country, he throws another stone. When he does not express outrage at the desecration of Jewish cemeteries and holy ground, he throws another stone. When he supports the takeover of sacred indigenous lands for corporate gain, he throws another stone. When he cripples our nation's ability to protect our air and our water and allows polluters to profit off the lives of those who are most vulnerable, people of color, the elderly and the poor, he throws another stone. When he murders trans people who are prepared to fight and die for their country that they love, a disruption and a burden, he throws another stone. When he creates and allows policies and laws to be put in place that strip people of their rights, agency over their own bodies, and access to the things that allow us all to thrive, he throws another stone. These stones have been thrown by the most powerful person on the planet, giving permission for all the little angry guys to pick them up and start throwing them as well. And people are hurting, they're terrified, and they're dying. Even if we ourselves are not in the line of fire because of the color of our skin, our gender identities, or our zip codes, and we're caring and concerned bystanders, if we are not being hit by the stones being thrown at others, we are not standing close enough.
That's what you was telling me about.
one another, to shield those at risk, to work for changes in policies and practices in our city, in our state and country that will protect all of us and bring us to a day when stones will be used for building up and not beating down. Ourselves to be divided. The biggest fake news story since Europeans landed on the shore of this land is that some of us belong and some of us don't. Every time those who seek to divide us are successful in convincing us that we won't, someone else doesn't, we let them win. We won't be divided. Tonight, we affirm that we are one and our differences only enhance the beauty of this beloved community. We won't let them win. We won't be divided. We commit ourselves to fighting for good education for all our kids, regardless of their zip code. We won't let them win. We won't be divided. living wage is the norm for all, not just the exception for a few. We won't let them win. We won't be divided. We will lean in on the criminal justice system in our city so that all will live free. We won't let them win. We won't be divided. And so here and now we celebrate that all of us, saints and sinners and suckers, are sacred and irreplaceable. We won't let them win.
Yeah, just come
through. We won't be divided. Amen.
Like anybody else on the mic?
Yeah, oh my God.
Anybody?
Fellow power clergy for being here and sharing such a powerful word. Let's give God a hand for all of what they're doing in the work of justice and equality. Now, I know some of you have not seen clergy like this. You didn't know clergy actually cared about social justice. You didn't know the clergy cared about anything other than what was going on in their congregation. where power has a different breed of clergy and lay leadership and faith people who have come together to work together to build this city and beyond. Let me just speak to you for a few minutes to just put a frame on what we're about to do, because we want action today. We had our prayer vigils on Sunday and on Monday. We mourned and we cried and we wept together. Now we've marched together and we've come together in this place. But it's now time for action. It is time for us to do something. It is time now for us to strike a blow against white supremacy here in the city of Philadelphia. So let me give you the national frame and then give you the frame of what we're going to do here. The reality is that most people don't even know what white supremacy is. And they certainly don't know what white nationalism is. So let me give you a quick definition. White supremacy is simply that it is those who believe in it believe that white people should have the preferred position in everything in society. That simply because of the color of their skin, they deserve first preference in every situation, whether it's schooling, whether it's banking, whether it's real estate, whether it's where you live or how you live. All of the things in life, the qualities of life, a white supremacist believes white folks should, just because of the color of their skin, deserve the preference and no other reason.
That ain't right. That ain't right.
White nationalism is a little different. And if anything, it's much worse. Because white nationalism is that not only do white people deserve the better preference of people of color, but white people deserve the exclusive right to all the benefits and joys of being an American. They want a white nation for white people and for white people only. Just get that in your thinking for a minute. This is what they were saying on Saturday, that this was their desire to have a white nation for white people only. And so we believe something different. We believe what Martin Luther King said many years ago, that we were going to be judged not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. And that's how we were going to decide how to build our nation and to build our community and to build our city together. We still believe the dream that all God's children, black children and white children, browns and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, can come together and sing the old Negro spiritual, that we're free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty that all of us, every one of us, they're free at last. And so we're going to challenge our leaders, our politicians, our leaders today on 3 specific ways in which they can start dismantling white supremacy here in the city of Philadelphia. That yes, we know that our politicians and our leaders may not be, well, maybe not, some of them may not be Ku Klux Klan or Nazis. Oh, Lord, have mercy. But we got some leaders who, the leaders have to make a decision whether they're going to decide to dismantle white supremacy or not. Whether they're going to be gatekeepers for white supremacy, trying to preserve it, trying to protect it, or they're going to decide to make the decision that they're going to be fighters for social justice, fighters for righteousness, fighters to tear down white supremacy where we see it, in every place we see it in our city. And that means we gotta give them some boldness. We gotta know we're gonna back them up if they decide to act boldly.
That's right.
So when someone says that one of our politicians dares to say that the Rizzo statue has to come down, it is up specific demands that they're asking, and we're going to ask each one to come up now. One is for our state senator, Eichelberger, who's in the middle of the state in regards to education. And I'm going to ask David Masikis to come and explain what that demand is. Then following that, we're going to have Pastor Melody DeBose come and to share the demand for our mayor, specifically on how he can unmask white supremacy and to dismantle white supremacy here in the city of Philadelphia around criminal justice. And then finally, our council person, our chair council of council, Darrell Clark, a demand specifically for him how he can dismantle white supremacy regarding the economic system in Philadelphia.
Woo!
So they can begin to know what is necessary to stand in courage today. So I'm going to ask David Masikis if he can come right now and share that. And now, wait a minute, before he comes, I want you to understand, get your cell phone ready. Here's your weapon tonight. Here's your weapon you're going to use to bring justice and equality and start to dismantle white supremacy here in this city. Here's what you're going to use. You're going to get your tool out, get your weapon out. No, watch what I said. Get your telephone, get your cell phone out, get the right weapon out to make a change in our city, because this is what we're going to use in just a few moments. Let's bring David Masikis on, who's going to come share with us the demand around education.
I am a data scientist by profession, and I volunteer with Power's education strategy team. I'm here to share with you a stark example of how white supremacy operates today in the state of Pennsylvania, not in the guise of people carrying torches and burning crosses, but in how the state of Pennsylvania favors its white children at the expense of its black and brown children. 3 years ago, I downloaded some data from the Pennsylvania Department of Education website, did some analysis, and uncovered a very disturbing but very powerful trend that the state of Pennsylvania systemically, at all areas of income, at all levels of poverty, school districts that have a higher proportion of white students in them get more funding from the state than comparable districts with more black and brown students in them. This is a trend that extends not just affecting the city of Philadelphia, the city of Chester, but it goes across the state to the cities of Reading, Allentown, Erie, Harrisburg. Any place you have predominantly black and brown students, or even a higher proportion than the average of black and brown students, you'll see districts getting less than their fair share of funding from the state. How do we know it's less than their fair share? Fortunately, 2 years ago, the state of Pennsylvania's legislature spent a year studying and came up with a funding formula to determine what is the fair share that each district should receive of the state's allocation of public school funding. However, they decided not to distribute all the money that way. They distribute only a small part of the money that way, and most of the state money gets distributed in the unfair way that it's been done for decades. But that formula lets us have a clear, agreed-upon measure of what fairness is. And now we can compare each school district in Pennsylvania, there's 500 of them, what is their actual funding this year compared to what the state's own formula says is their fair share of the funding. When we do that comparison, Philadelphia, as just the first example, gets almost $2,000 per student less than what would be its fair share of the current state budget, according to the state's own formula. That adds up to $400 million this school year that the city of Philadelphia is getting shortchanged. And Philadelphia, that's $400 million that the city of Philadelphia is getting shortchanged, less than its fair share of what is an inadequate amount that the state allocates to public school education. But of that inadequate amount, Philadelphia is getting $400 million less than its fair share.
That ain't right.
Philadelphia is not the worst. There are districts across this state that are getting $3,000, $4,000, even $6,000 per student less than their fair share, according to the state legislature's own formula. And what is the most powerful predictor of which districts are getting more and which are getting less than their fair share of funding? And by the way, on the other end, there are districts that are getting up to $7,000 per student more than their fair share of the state's funding. So what's the most powerful predictor? It's not poverty, it's not geography, it's the proportion of a school district students that are white versus black and brown students. That across the state of Pennsylvania, on average, the whitest school districts on average are getting $2,200 per student more than their fair share. And the least white districts, those with the highest proportion of black and brown students, are getting $2,100 less than their fair share of the state's school funding. Yeah. This is something that is our... It is time for us to stand up and bring this to the attention of school districts, of parents, of principals, of our state legislators across the state of Pennsylvania. It is time for our state legislature to get rid of this system of educational apartheid in the state of Pennsylvania. Has been developing a relationship with Senator John Eichelberger, who is the chairman of the Pennsylvania Senate's Education Committee. And Senator Eichelberger, who represents a district in western southern Pennsylvania that is predominantly white, has taken an interest, and he has said he wants to understand, he wants to study and understand this unfairness on a racial basis of the state's funding. And he has committed to power to hold a hearing of the Senate Education Committee to educate them about this horrible inequity. However, even though Senator Eichelberger has told us he will hold such a hearing in the early fall, he has yet to schedule a date for that hearing. We need to tell Senator Eichelberger it is time to schedule a date so that our elected officials can learn the truth and make a change to this system of educational apartheid. So we got a task for you all to do right now to express your opinion to Senator Eichelberger. So here's what we got. Here's what we want each of you to do. You take out your cell phone. How are we going to contact them? You're going to go open up Facebook. You're going to go to Facebook page, Senator Eichelberger. Is that up there? Hopefully it's going to come up on the screen, but I'm going to spell it out for you. It's Senator Eichelberger, all one word, and it's E-I-C-H-E-L-B-E-R-G-E-R. E-I-C-H-E-L-B-E-R-G-E-R. And you're going to go to his Facebook page, you're going to click on the link to email him, and you're going to say, Senator Eichelberger, do what you promised. Set a date for the hearing for the Senate Education Committee to learn about the systemic racial bias in Pennsylvania's public school funding. The instructions are up here on the screen now. This is our message to Senator Eichelberg. We want everyone right now, take out your cell phone and let him hear your opinion. So once again, Eichelberger on Facebook on the webpage. It's Senator Eichelberger, E-I-C-H-E-L-B-E-R-G-E-R. Say, do what you promised. Set a date for the hearing for the Senate Education Committee to learn about the systemic racial bias in Pennsylvania public school funding. Hashtag Philly is Charlottesville. Thank you. All right. Get to everyone in this, everyone who's sitting in the church, everyone who's planted outside the church. The only thing we got going for us in this moral movement is we got our faith, and we got the people of Pennsylvania. There are movements that are entrenched, and in particular, there's those who are invested in the system, in preserving the system of white supremacy, who will say, we can't go changing our funding system. That's going to hurt some districts. These districts who have been getting $4,000, $5,000 per student more than their fair share. We can't do anything to upset that system. They've got to hear from the masses of people who say, we value all our children equally. All of our children deserve to get the educational resources they need. Woo! So you want to go to that Facebook page. Oh, we do have an email address, I'm sorry. So you can email them directly. It goes, J. Eichelberger at PASEN.gov. It's J. Eichelberger at PASEN.gov. So we're going to give him a lot to open in his email box and Facebook page tomorrow morning. Thank you.
I know we're a little energetic on it, but here's how we make a blow for ending white supremacy. And it takes a little time, it takes a little work now. So if you're on the phone, get on the phone, use the email, use the Facebook. Make sure you stay and do this. Because we can protest and march all we want. But if we don't do these kind of basic things to end white supremacy, we're not going to be able to do it.
Section of Philadelphia at Germantown and Susquehanna. Tonight, I stand in solidarity with the citizens or the protesters in Charlottesville, Virginia, and those across the nation who have decided to stand up against the tyranny of racism. But I want to take it a step further tonight, because as I sat in my seat, I realized that in one way or another, I have been participating. So tonight, I have decided to declare a moratorium on the use of the oxymoronic term, white supremacy. I will not allow that term to come anymore from these black lips. Because in my mind, in my world, the only supreme is God himself. And I believe that we have given too much credence to those who have the indignant audacity to believe themselves better than anything else that God has created. So I hope that you will join me tonight in deciding that we will no longer cite sanction the notion that there's any such thing as a white supremacist. So we stand in solidarity and we understand that there needs to be action taken against those who have this sense of superiority. As Mr. Morsinkas has expressed, we see it in our educational system, and the one that will come behind me will express how we see it in our economic system. But I want to just share with you a few minutes facts that you might already know, that this feeling of superiority exists in our judicial system. It exists because right now in the city of Philadelphia, there are more black and brown people incarcerated than anywhere else in the world.
That ain't right.
And they are incarcerated for minor offenses. They have been profiled, racially profiled, and they're sitting in jails most of the time for a bail that is less than $5,000. There is racism, profound racism, in our judicial system. When a black or brown citizen walks in the court and you have already decided that they're guilty, something has to change. The reference to our brothers and sisters being shot down like dogs has already been made. But I don't have to tell you that I stand before you as a doting grandmother who grieved in 2015 when I found out that my two daughters were about to birth sons. Why should that frighten me? Because my black, beautiful grandsons are already an endangered species. This system is broken, and sporadic protest will not change it. As someone has already said, we have to get on the wall, and we cannot afford to come down until this mess is changed. I grieved as I listened to the level of passivity that was demonstrated by the police officers in Charlottesville, hands behind their backs. And I said to myself, if they had been black protesters, they would have found the dogs and the billy clubs and the fire hydrants, and there would have been more bloodshed. That does not sanction what happened. I'm just saying it is evident that this feeling of superiority and these actions of superiority are alive and well. And I don't know how many of you are sick and tired enough to move past this moment and say we have got to do more.
Woo! I am. Woo!
Tonight, we call on our city mayor, Jim Kinney. And the first thing that we're going to say to him is to review the tapes. Because the tapes are evidence of his promises. the empty ones and the emptier ones. And we want to challenge him tonight to place a demand on himself. Place a demand on himself to be the man and to be the mayor that he professes to be. And the first thing that we want him to do, among other things, is to allocate no less than $1.5 million, if they have it, to the development of a police advisory commission. Now, here's the reality. A facsimile of one already exists, but it is housed or embodied by the men and women in blue. Now, the reality is, many of them have already proven that they are incapable of policing themselves. So we need a police, Mayor Kinney, advisory committee that is comprised of the citizens of Philadelphia who do not have an ulterior motive, who do not have a hidden agenda, who simply want to see justice served, and not a justice that pretends to be blind, not a justice that pretends to be blind, but a justice that really is, and will not discriminate when they see black versus when they see blue. So